Simon Scott Assembly Hall. Thomas Gilman, #1 ranked, undefeated, the only undefeated 125-pounder in the country, going up against Timmy Lambert, the senior from Nebraska. And this is how they got there. #1, rolling all the way to the finals. Lambert coming out of the 3 spot and then beating Oliver from Indiana to get to the finals. They've met 6 times before. The number is 6-0. Gilman has won them all in their college career, but the last time it was 6-3 in the dual meet a couple of weeks ago.
And for Thomas Gilman, he's been the dominant wrestler, as you mentioned, Tim, all throughout the season. But now it's tournament time, and now's the time where you get an opportunity to go ahead, put your name on the wall as a Big Ten Conference champion.
Thomas Gilman, a 4-time state champion in Nebraska. Scott Catholic High School, coached by Brad Hildebrand, lives on the other side of the river, Council Bluffs, Iowa, but crossed every day for 4 years to be a 4-timer from Scott Catholic. And Timmy Lambert. Timmy Lambert's out of Forest Hills, Michigan, Forest Hills Eastern High School.
And for the Huskers, Timmy Lambert is one of those guys that I think that they would point to and say, you know, he's been around a 12 guy at the NCAA tournament. And that means he wasn't an All-American, but he got within 1 match of being an All-American. And he's got the type of skills, and he's, you know, it's his last crack at this too. So this is a huge measuring stick for him to be able to go ahead and stay competitive with Thomas Gilman throughout the whole 7 minutes, make scoring difficult for Gilman, stay within range, and see if you can knock off a guy looking for his first title as well.
Lambert is a 4-time now Big Ten place winner, 4th, 6th, 5th, and now in the finals against Thomas Gilman. In on the shot.
In on the shot, he's able to go ahead and get his shoulder behind the hamstring right there. He's in a really good position. He'll try to shelf that ankle on his left thigh. He lost it right there. You see how he lost it? He's going to try to get that back. He had both ankles. And he got the 2-point takedown here with weight on the hands.
1,000.
Good work by Gilman. You know, he's still on with his range, and he's just got to feel like a 141-pounder out there, you know, for a lot of these 25-pounders in the weight class. He just, good length, broad shoulders. You know, he's not deficient in any area physically.
What I like about what he's done this year, Jim, in his undefeated campaign is that he's maybe the best athlete of all the guys at 125, but last year he seemed to limit himself by not opening up, and it seems like he has just let it fly this year.
He really has let it fly, and it's certainly not the same level of competition in this weight class that we've seen when compared to Nathan Tomasello and Nico Megaludis, who are in that weight class, at 125. Of course, Megaludis ended up being the national champion. But I agree with you. He's been on the offense, and he's been the guy that the Hawkeyes have really looked to, you know, being the leader, being an example of good, solid offense going out there collecting points.
Talk about a catalyst for 125. That's where you start in most dual meets. When you have Thomas Gilman going out to start you in the big dual meets, everybody gets fired up, and he's been very, very consistent for the Hawkeyes this year. A runner-up in last year, or 2 years ago, the Big Ten championship, and last year he placed 3rd. So he had Thomas Gilman from Iowa in the green ankle band on top, ahead 2-0, has yet to win a Big Ten championship.
Doing a nice job of keeping his chest, and a lot of good mat returns right there by Gilman. Nice work by Gilman, just doing a good job of following. You know, it's really important, particularly with 36 seconds left in a period. Finishing these periods in the top position is so important to winning championships. And, you know, Gilman has not given up on the ride. And he knows it's important for him to kind of wear Lambert down, and this is really important psychologically for Lambert to go ahead and try to get this escape. Keep running, and a lot of times it's a bunch of new starts. So,
set bottom, now top.
25 seconds left.
You talked about championships. These two have met in a championship already this year at the Midlands Championships in Evanston at Northwestern, the holiday tournament. and they met in the championships with Thomas Gilman defeating Lambert for that Midlands championship in December.
Good job by Gilman, staying tight on that spot ride, putting the weight on the hands. Let's take a look at the keys to winning a championship here. Today's keys to the meet are brought to you by Mat Hoist, the safest mat storage system on the web at mathoist.com. And you take a look at this keys to winning a championship. Score and keep scoring. That's an attitude. Finish periods in the top position, and you just saw Gilman do that. Sudden change. What happens when you're going to go ahead and get taken down and and the crowd gets into it, and then breathe and let it rip. There's so many guys that are up here, they go out there a little bit too amped, just like we are right now, and you got to breathe and let it rip.
It's hard not to get amped when you've got the finals of the Big Ten Wrestling Championship. 77 qualifiers for the NCAAs in St. Louis in a couple of weeks, and we'll show you how many qualifiers for each weight class as we roll along in the afternoon.
Lambert trying to take a little bit of that riding time back. He's got a nice job with the wrist rides. There, settled back. Gilman really difficult, to turn with wrist rides, really strong in the upper body. We saw where Ethan Lezak in the dual meet was able to go ahead and get a leg ride in. Doesn't look like Lambert's willing to commit to that at this point, but he's done at least, or broke the riding time at this point in the match. He wants to make Gilman work a little harder,
Gilman has gone 3 straight seasons undefeated in the Big Ten dual meets. Now in the finals of the championship, he has not won yet, leading 2-0 over Timmy Lambert from Nebraska.
Good work by Lambert right there. You see him working on the single wrist ride on the right-hand side, but then the referee was counting on him, and he just drove Gilman off the mat and got a new start.
Both of these wrestlers, over 100 wins in their college careers at Iowa and Nebraska.
Good cross wrist. And you see where Lambert is able to go ahead and control that left wrist. Now he's able to go ahead and knock him down a little bit, settle him back to his rear, and elbow deep around that inside part of the thigh. Gilman coming up. Lambert doing a nice job of finishing. And you know what? These are confidence builders. If you go ahead, these mat returns are so important, because if you get in that single leg position, when he's going to need a takedown to win this match, all right? You get in that single leg position, now you know you can go ahead and finish because you did it in the mat return.
Good point there. And now in that mat return, he climbed back up, got the other ankle, just like, as Jim, you pointed out, just like he was finishing the single leg takedown.
Gilman doing a better job of getting hand control. Lambert in on a single.
And this time the hip out by Gilman gets him the escape with 20 seconds left in the second period. Gilman goes out in front 3-0. There is no riding time advantage.
And besides the takedown of the match, the difference has been one guy was able to finish the period in the top position, and the other hasn't been. So Lambert in this match physically, though.
Fingers.
All right, we go to the third period, and Tim Lambert will choose on top to begin the third period.
Yeah, that's an interesting choice.
A strategy going in, and you would have to say that it's close to working, because he's not out of this. A 4-point near fall and a ride out would be what he needs. But good escape by Thomas Gilman. And so,
well, they must have looked at the film from the Minnesota match, and they thought that Gilman might be a little bit tired in the bottom position, and I don't think that's the case. It's just a strange strategy decision there, but he did it. And one thing, if you're going to go ahead and commit to that, you at least try to put a leg in, like Lezak was able to do from Minnesota when he was able to get that 8-0 lead on Gilman, and Gilman was able to come back in that exciting match. As you can see where Gilman's kind of spread out now off of his shot. See if he tries to improve his position. He is now. Big step around. Whizzer. Lambert was able to go ahead and get him off the mat. From a physical standpoint, like what I said, I've been impressed with Lambert. I mean, he's lost a lot of these matches where Gilman has really been able to run up the score on him. And that still may be the case here with some desperation takedown attempts, but think physically he's really been in this one.
Less than a minute left. Thomas Gilman, 50 seconds away from a Big Ten championship. He's out in front 4-0. Takedown, a couple of escapes. Trying for his 7th victory in as many tries against his rival from Nebraska, Timmy Lambert.
You know, one thing we haven't commented on yet, the number 2 seed from Penn State, Nick Suriano, basically medical was able to kind of withdrew from the tournament here, actually went out there and collected the, went out there and hit the mat, but it was not able to go ahead and perform. And the number 3 seed, Lambert, basically took this spot.
Suriano will be qualified for an at-large position, and he medically forfeited out. And this looks like Thomas Gilman for the Hawkeyes, 5 seconds away from a Big Ten wrestling championship and a continuing campaign that has been dominant this year.
Just continues to go ahead and dominate this field, as you mentioned, Tim. And that was a 4-point win, but it was much more physically dominant than that. I mean, Lambert did a nice job of staying in there, but you know what? There's also a sense of relief about winning a championship and getting your name on the wall.
His mom, Cherie, and his dad, Pat, were up in the stands, and they are excited about their son's Big Ten wrestling championship here at Indiana University.